Hey folks, long time no see. Kyle's here with you all today. For this video today folks, there's one tool that I was able to test out to help my color grading process in so many different ways, which is Dehancer. I think Dehancer is a very useful tool for anyone to use. And yes, I mean from beginners to professional colorists. It's very important to take color grading process seriously because when we're watching films, we're literally looking at color 100% of the time. Films rely on visual, which is color grading, cinematography and all that. Color grading process is just as important as cinematography, sound designing, music, and so on. It helps you viewers to emphasize the film even more. The color grading helps exaggerate the feeling. For example, if your character are feeling more down, you would make it a more bluish color. If you're angry, more red. Or if you're in the woods, nature, you want to give off that nature vibe, it'd be a little more greenish, however you guys want to show it. Now let's jump in right into Dehancer Pro. What's included in the Pro version? First thing, once you get Dehancer Pro, you're gonna download 60 plus film preset, where you can plop it on and play around with it to match your style. Next big feature that Dehancer Pro provides is film grain. Here's the big thing, Dehancer does not just use film grain and plop it on as like an overlay. It has a special algorithm where it like detects the brightness, the darkness, the color, and use a little granules and it make it more natural-like. It's kind of like an AI, but it just gives you a more realistic film grain rather than just plopping on like an overlay. If you're the person that like finish vibe, you want to make it more unique, halation. Halation effect is a red-orange halo-like color is coming wrap around the highlight and the contrast portion to give off that finish vibe. Another useful feature Dehancer provides is bloom. Bloom is another way to achieve finish look. And it's like a soften your highlight brighter portion and wrap around to make it more smoother, more finish, like how you use your mist filter. And folks, you have multiple ways to achieve that finish look. And of course there's much more, such as overscan, film damage, color head, and so on. And folks, I'm going to share you my honest opinion on the Dehancer. I love the feature that Dehancer provides, such as color head, bloom, halation. It makes my editing process much more efficient. An important reminder, when I say it makes me much more efficient, I don't mean just plopping it on and call it a day. It helps me speed up my process because I want to try something new, for example. Oh, this looks good, but it might be a little too much. I'm going to turn it down. Or it'll be like, oh, I like it. Maybe I want this over here. It helps you understand color grading process better because when you try new things, it tends to take a little more of your time. It has so many features and you can play around with it, try new things, and it gets right to the point and you can modify it to your liking. Especially when I'm very tight on time, I'm getting project, loading project after one and after. Play around with it, understand how this advanced your storytelling, understand why you like it, understand why it's important. Once you understand all the crucial parts, and then you make your filmmaking color grading process so much more fun. And now, with color head, that's probably one of my favorite features that Dehancer provides. The reason why I love that feature so much, before we dive in deeper, when you see like movies such as Blade Runner, you see how orange it is, how blue it is. That's where color head comes in, and it's like the closest thing you can get your film look natural as possible by changing the color of the scenario. So when you change color, manually, it's kind of hard to get the look natural as possible because you're playing with a shadow, dark, bright, highlight, midtone. Color head, it's a different level. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I said this would be very useful for beginners up to professional. When you use color profile, it's kind of like LUT. You're going to have to modify it, you have to play around with it because it's not going to be perfect right away. You have to make a couple adjustments, and as you do that, understand why you're making those adjustments. For beginners, this helps you understand the color grading process. It helps you pick up your learning, you pick up the speed of the learning process. It would take so much pressure off of your shoulder. And on top of that, it would make color grading much more enjoyable. Another thing that's great for beginner and professional is a great way to find new style. Discovering new style is like one of the best things because sometimes it takes time to find your new style. But with Dehancer, you can just take one click and you're like, whoa, that's actually look really cool, but it might be a little too much. Okay, I'm gonna add this to my style, I'm gonna modify it, bam, perfect. A little advice here, when you find your new style, when you use these features, ask yourself these questions. What is the purpose of adding this new style into my own workflow? And how does it advance my storytelling? Once you answer these questions, you have a better understanding why you're adding these, and you have a better understanding of the color grading process as a whole. I put effort into answering these questions because it's helped me understand better and how can I advance my storytelling better. And last of all, for beginner and professional, it make your color grading process much more efficient. Dehancer will help you save a lot of time on the color grading side because it tends to take a lot of time. I would say color grading probably top 3 time consuming process of all. And this is very crucial for content creators who need to pump their content as much as possible. It would help them save a lot of time and would still create much more time for them to create more content. Do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. Especially for content creators who need to pump out much content as possible. For beginners who need to learn the color grading process. For professionals who need to find new style quickly. It's for everyone who wants to have fun in their color grading process. It's a great plugin for everyone to have. And now folks, you have it. We're gonna jump into it and we're gonna color grade one of my footage. And we're here, you can see myself sitting here. So I'm just looking and analyzing, trying to figure out what do I want to achieve here. And as we start here, I'm gonna pull up Dehancer and put it in there. And the thing about it, you can choose the camera's log. I have a Sony FX3, yep, perfect. S-Loss, everything, and there it is. So this is the first one, it's gonna pop up, so I'm gonna disable all the features so I can start from original scratch. Got it. So this is what it looks like converted. So I'm gonna jump back a couple times because I want to get the accurate color possible before I get in there. So I'm gonna show picture value and I can see it's very close, but I think I'm gonna decrease red just a tad bit or increase green to get much white balance as possible, and I think that's pretty good. So let me check one more time. Yep, that's pretty close, and I like that before. So you can see how much there's a little too red, but I think I changed it to match the white balance. And now next, this is exposure. I think I'm gonna decrease the exposure a little bit because I want to get that little dark feeling to it. Because I think it's a little down feeling, whatever. I want to make it more dark as possible. Okay, now let's jump into the Dehancer node. First thing, I have a favorite color profile that I use, so I'm going to jump right into that. There's a whole bunch of different profiles that you can look through, but I'm going to jump through the one that I actually like the most. It took a little bit of time as you look through the color profile to find your liking and stick with it and move on to the next step. And now the next step is contrast, gamma correction, color separation, and color boost. So I'm going to enable that right now, and you can see I want to make it a little more contrasty. You know what, you can step back, use a curve of your own, but I'm just going to use this. And I'm watching the color correction, you know, it's a little bit, it's very useful. As you can see, the color chart changes. So I don't need that. Color separation is the same thing. And color boost I'm looking at, I probably do want to boost the color just a tad bit to show my orange skin tone. And I think that is right there. Yeah, let me cover the clip so you can see it more. There we go. And now next, film compression. I love this feature. It's like decreasing highlight and shadow, but it still keep it natural as possible without losing color. So I'm looking here, so you can see how much the skin tone color shows up. So you don't want to overuse it, so I'm going to increase a little bit there, and I can see it looks pretty good there. And white point, you can see it's just the white point. And for this, because I want the style to be just a tad bit overexposed, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to watch the color curve so I don't touch the top line, and I like it right there. Tonal point, don't need, and that should be good. And now I'm gonna jump to color head, my favorite feature of all. And I know exactly what color I'm going to go for. I want to make that greenish nature vibe. You know, I'm not making it blue because I think there's too much green to add blue, but I think I'm gonna add more of a greenish bluish color. Let's play around with that. So you see here, as I mentioned, these three color, combo right here. So yellow, blue. So of course I'm gonna go blue just a tad bit, and green. You can see how much has changed. Whoop, I forgot to enable the feature. Alright, now you can see the color changes. So blue, actually, I'm ready to make it yellowish green. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm gonna play around, try to figure out where that green and light. Okay, you can see that. You can see how natural it looks. Even though you add the color, like Batman, they overly use the color to get the vibe better kind of feel, like that orange sunset or the darkness. Blade Runner, for example. Blade Runner does a great job of the color grading process. And here, so when you play with shadow, you're going to be opposite. So think of it this way. Plus is adding more of that specific color, or negative to make it opposite of the color that you're going for. So shadow, I'm actually going to go a little opposite just because I want to get that natural flow from shallow to highlight. So shadow, I'm just going to add, it's just very minimal. You can see how blue add into the shadow. And mid-tone, I'm actually going to increase it, and highlight is going to be even more higher. And you can see it. And you see that? I love that color. I think it's just a little tad bit too much. Let's disable it and enable it. I mean, it still look natural. Like, I can keep it like that and say it's good for that feature. But you can see here, impact. Impact is the one where how much of effect, how much do you want this part to affect your color grading? From 0, nothing. 100, of course, is full. So I'm going to decrease it to around 76. I think 76 look really good for my taste. And you can see before, after. It's not too much, just subtle, but still very effective. It still gives off that nature vibe, and it looks natural. And now let's go down to film green. I'm not a big fan of film green. Usually I try to avoid film green because it's a little too much for my taste. But in this situation, I think I want film green because there's not much movement in this shot. It depends if there's a movie or something like that. It depends what the color grading process. But for this shot, just this scene right here, I think I'm gonna add a minimal film green, just to add a little bit of a movement here. And yes, I think it looked great. You can still see movement in here, and I like it. If I make start off from S-Log 3 to now, that looks phenomenal. That looks phenomenal. And you see how easy, how much color grading, it's like a high quality color grading just off of the side of Dehancer. And now, halation. I'm not going to use halation because I don't think I need an orange halo light around the bright contrast part. I'm going to skip that. Bloom. I do want to use bloom. I want to make this look vintage as possible. Vintage look, I think this would be perfect to have a vintage look in here. So let's add bloom. And here's the mask mode. You can see where it's being affected. So you can see the little green here. That's the part that bloom is affecting right now. So I don't think I want too much. And you can see the color curve here. And looking at the top part, you can see it's being affected. You can see how much it increased. And you can see how soft and the highlight portion is. And I think it's subtle. It doesn't need to be any more than that. I like it the way it looks. And for those of you, I don't think I need anything else. And this is my color grading result. Before, after. And it looked phenomenal. I love the color. It looked very professional. It looked like it's straight out of a movie. Nothing else to say. That's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If I do see you, I'll probably see you in 1 year from now.